How you doing, everyone? Good evening, good evening, good evening. Over 300 people in this chat to start things off. I'm going to assume some of you are Dodger fans, and you want to hear all the tea about Dave Roberts today. Who would have thought? It's like, can we just have a signing? Can we just have something juicy? And the juiciest thing that we have to really bite into is Dave Roberts telling everyone that they met with Shohei Otani. Oh, you had one job, Dave. You had one job, and that was to just not say anything. My goodness. We're going to talk about that, and I'm actually going to look into the actual comments themselves, because there was actually, when I watched the actual comments coming out of his mouth, I found them to be pretty telling, in my opinion. We'll just talk about that in a little bit. But we're going to talk all about that. We got maybe a couple of teams remaining for Shohei Otani. Could it be down to two? The Dodgers, the Blue Jays, right? He's made a couple of visits, according to reports from this past weekend. Are the Cubs out of it? Supposedly, we had a little something between Bob Nightingale and Jed Hoyer out there today. Supposedly, that was not the most kind words exchanged between the two. We'll talk about that. And we got Yamamoto in the news as well. We got Bellinger in the news. We got some lower tier free agents popping up as well. Even the Pirates, according to reports, maybe looking to increase their payroll a little bit. Maybe the Pirates are going to land Shohei Otani. I'm just kidding. But wow, we got almost 400 people in the chat to start the show. You're amazing. I'm seeing a lot of friendly faces in the chat, seeing moderators. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Everyone, light goal for tonight is 200. Can you help us get to 200? I will love you forever. I even got a poll up in the chat. Can we get the stream to 200 likes? If you can, everyone, hit the bell notification. That way you know I go live every single time. Share the stream, share the channel, share anything on the channel as well. And if you are new, if you are just finding me and my potato face for the first time, think about subscribing down below. And everyone, we are sponsored here today by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. The link is in the description down below. It is your number one stop for all of your daily fantasy needs. Obviously, there's no baseball on at the moment, but we got football, we got basketball pretty much nightly at this point. You got a bunch of different ways to play daily fantasy. And just taking a quick look, let's just get the sponsor out of the way because we have a lot to talk about here tonight. So as of right now, we got drafts. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do drafts. A bunch of NBA drafts going on at the moment. We got NFL, whole bunch of different ways. And we got hockey, of course. I forgot to mention hockey. I'm sorry for all the hockey fans out there. But definitely go check this out. You got some drafts, and you got some pick'ems as well. Pick'ems is pretty much the way I like to go when it comes to my daily fantasy part. Personally, I'm more of, the stat kind of guy. That does help you pretty well when it comes to the drafts too. But if you just want a more simple way to play, Pick'ems is what I would recommend, especially for basketball. There's a whole bunch of different stats that you can choose from, whether you go higher or lower. But definitely go check this out. You can do in-game Pick'ems as well. So right now we got the Knicks and the Bucks. We got a pretty close game at the moment. Wow, they're already 75-72 in the second quarter. What in the world? Is there any defense going on in this game? My goodness. But go check out Underdog Fantasy. Again, link is in the description down below. The promo code is HIDE. You get a double on your first deposit up to $100. And Abraham Garcia, I see you in the chat. Thank you for becoming a member, Abraham Garcia. I greatly appreciate it. Hey, memberships are available on this channel. Click the join button and you'll see the different tiers. You get the badges, you get the emojis in the chat, and there is also another tier where you'll have access to a private Discord as well. Everyone, we got a lot to talk about here. Let's get to it. So everyone has been pretty much chatting here today about Shohei Otani. What else is new? It's always about Shohei Otani right now. Honestly, can I be real for a second? I'm actually really excited for all of this just to get done. It's getting a little fatiguing for me personally. I want to talk about other things out there. We can't really get this market going until the big fish is off the board, right? We got to get something going here, and not much is going to happen until Ohtani decides where he wants to go. But the big story or stories today were that he had started meeting, or he has been meeting with teams, right? And the big thing that everyone's been talking about, one report a little while ago, is Shohei Otani doesn't want anything getting out there, right? He was basically, his team was telling teams, if anything gets out, if any news of meetings gets out, it's going to hurt the team, right? It could hurt their chances, right? Because he wants to keep it really private. He's always been a pretty private person, doesn't really like to, get into all of the media stuff. So from his point of view, you can understand it, right? He doesn't really want anything getting out there. But people in the media, they're going to dig, and they're going to dig, and they're going to dig some more. They'll find your long lost cousin to try and get some information. And supposedly some things have been coming out, and even people on the streets. You don't even need to, try and call long lost cousins to try and get some information. Sometimes you can just use your eyes, right? And that is supposedly what happened in San Francisco this weekend. But let's kind of backtrack here. The Blue Jays, we had seen a couple of breadcrumbs in the last 48 hours or so or maybe the last 24 hours, 36 hours, something like that, where all of a sudden Ross Atkins went from an in-person media scrum to doing it over a Zoom call. And people started thinking, what the heck is going on with Ross Atkins here? Why all of a sudden is he switching it from in-person to a Zoom call? Right. And then someone said, where are you? Are you meeting with Ohtani? And he said, yeah, we can't really talk about that. So pretty much everyone started speculating at that point that, there was probably some kind of a meeting going on with Shohei Otani. Right. And then even Schneider, the manager, right, he was supposed to meet with the media. We saw a lot of managers meeting with the media yesterday. Alex Cora, Aaron Boone, Ron Washington. Many managers were, kind of making their rounds yesterday at the winter meetings, except for Schneider, and he rescheduled for today. And we also saw Ross Atkins talk today in person. So according to the reports here, Shohei Otani did meet with the Blue Jays at their spring training complex in Dunedin, right, where they've really renovated their spring training complex. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, honestly. Blue Jays fans, I'm pretty sure you're with me on that. When you go look at the training facility, for the players, it looks fantastic. It is incredible looking. And, wow. So I just saw a few pictures, in the last day or so, and I'm thinking, wow, this place is freaking great. God, if I was a player, I'd love to be there. So they're pretty much, talking with him and everything. There were people speculating, why didn't you just, go to Toronto, show them around the stadium, blah, blah, blah. But I can understand maybe just going to the spring training complex because, when you're, traveling, especially to Canada, right? There's, passports and stuff involved. There's all these different things that come into play, right? He doesn't want to be seen by anyone in the public, right? Obviously, a big Japanese culture over there, a big population over there. Who knows? Maybe someone sees him at some point, right? So I think they just kind of kept it safe, and they just went to the spring training complex. Who knows? Maybe, I don't know. Who knows what the exact reason could be for that? That was kind of me speculating, right? But it wasn't just the Blue Jays, right? So we even had a couple of other reports coming out, and we even had something out of San Francisco. Susan Slusser, I always wonder if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm pretty sure it's Susan Slusser, where she said there were rumblings that Ohtani was in San Francisco on Saturday, while a number of the Giants' top decision makers were at Oracle Park, right? All it takes is one person to see Shohei Otani, right? Word starts getting around a little bit, right? So I'm not surprised. I mean, listen, if he's meeting with the Blue Jays yesterday, right? I mean, why couldn't he be, in San Francisco? Right? He was already in California anyway, so, quick little trip to San Francisco, goes and meets some people. But the one that people were talking about today, and I even put a tweet out today, actually went pretty viral. That's already over I don't know, maybe almost 200,000 views at this point, where everyone was making jokes about it. It was pretty hilarious. I'm thinking, did Dave Roberts actually just say what Shohei Otani and his camp did not want people to say? But here it is, right? Dave Roberts said the team met with Shohei Otani in LA a couple of days ago for 2 to 3 hours. Clearly, Shohei is our top priority. Roberts expressed confidence in the Dodgers' chances, but stressed that Otani is his own man. Why did Roberts confirm this to us? I don't feel like lying is something I do. I was asked a question. It's going to come out at some point. You know what I automatically thought when I read that? I thought of the Liar Liar movie, right, where you couldn't tell a lie. That's immediately what I thought of when I saw this. Everyone started joking about this today. It was pretty hilarious to me because when you go and watch what Dave Roberts, the way he said it, he hesitated, right? Before he answered the question, he was talking a little bit, and then he paused. And then he said, yeah, we met with him. And then that made me think, did he know what he was about to do? Did he just say, screw it, I'm just going to do it, right? I don't know. I just thought the hesitation of what he said a lot. And it's, who knows how big of a deal this is, Because at some point, stuff is just going to come out anyway. Like he said, it's going to come out at some point. But is this the point that Ohtani wanted it to come out? And his camp, right? A lot of people are, you're actually starting to see a lot of negativity towards Ohtani and his camp. People saying, this is getting ridiculous. Come on, pick a team, sign with the team. Let's get the ball rolling, right? It's, stuff's going to come out into the news anyway. I can understand they probably just want to keep things under control because you got to remember with Shohei Otani, this is the biggest free agent, arguably, in sports history, right? When you're thinking of, all the sports that we have here in America, think of all the NBA players that have been free agents, NFL as well, right? You've had some free agents there. But when it comes to Major League Baseball, in my opinion, these are always the more, at least from on a wider scale, the more high, the more, what's the word I'm looking for? The more high scale free agents, right? Is that the right way to describe it? You know what I mean? I feel like when it comes to Major League Baseball, basketball, sure, we've had a lot of really good players become free agents. The one that I've compared Ohtani to is LeBron James back when he signed with the Heat, right? Everyone was wondering where LeBron James was going to go. And, of course, had the whole decision thing, and that ended up, not getting a lot of rave reviews, right? But still, it was entertainment. Everyone was intrigued by it because LeBron James was the best player in basketball and will go down as arguably, people will make arguments. There's always the debate, Michael Jordan, Shohei Otani, or not Shohei, my goodness, Michael Jordan, Shohei Otani, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who's the best player to ever play, right? But still, he's in that echelon, right, where that's what made the whole thing so intriguing. Am I right? And I don't think it's at the level, this is nowhere near the level of entertainment, at least on a wide scale, when it comes to all-time free agencies. But this is definitely, you could argue that Shohei Otani, when it comes to the talent level across any sport, the greatest free agent we've ever seen, right? We've never seen a player like Shohei Otani hit the open market, right? We've seen some great players hit the open market, but nothing like Ohtani and what he can do. So I can understand why maybe he just wants to keep it under wraps as much as possible. But a lot of people are starting to find it obnoxious. But at the end of the day, like Robert says, he's his own man, right? He's going to do things the way he wants to do. And if he wants to keep it hush-hush, then, hey, he has that right? But it kind of just is funny that the team that has been the favorite for Shohei Otani might have just shot themselves in the foot. It's like, my God. Like, the drama. I wonder now what could end up happening here. Do I think this is going to be a big deal? I personally don't think so. That's just my own guess, right? However, with the Dodgers, with the Blue Jays, personally, I think it's an even playing field right now. Sure, coming into this, the overwhelming favorite was the Dodgers, right? Everyone was picking the Dodgers, for Shohei Otani's next home because they check off so many boxes, geographic location, right? Money, winning every single year, a good farm system, right? There's so many boxes that get checked off. And in my opinion, coming into the offseason, I basically said, I think the Dodgers, in my opinion, if I'm going to try and read Ohtani's mind, I've never met the man, obviously, but if it were me, I think he had a team in his head. You know what? I like this team. They on the surface, they look great, right? But I want to make sure I do my due diligence. I go talk with other teams because I've used the car analogy before. How many times have, we got over 700 people in this chat. I see some people saying, Heyman, what is going on? What is Heyman saying? Heyman, what? What is John Heyman saying? You better not be messing with me, people. Don't be messing with me. What is Heyman saying? What are we doing here? What are we doing? 2 minutes ago. My goodness, people. This is something I was about to get to. He put a new article, and it's basically something I was about to get to. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm about to get to what he talked about in just a little bit. Anyway, sorry about that, everyone. But kind of getting back to, where was I? And I could definitely, and thank you for pointing this out to me, everyone. I appreciate it. It does go hand in hand with what I'm going to be talking about here in just a little bit. But talking about, where was I? I just lost my whole train of thought. My goodness. My potato brain is killing me right now. Woo, I just had a real bit. Oh, man. I thought you all were telling me that something just happened with Ohtani. I was about to freak out. Where was I? Coming into the offseason, the Dodgers, they were like the overwhelming favorite. Brandon Lee, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. We'll get to this article in just a little bit. But coming into the offseason, Dodgers, overwhelming favorite. I like to use the analogy of looking for a car. Over 700 people in this chat. I'm sure most of you have gone out looking for a car, right? You have one car in mind, and all of a sudden maybe you see something else, and then in the end, maybe you end up buying the other car, right? So, you could always see something that checks off a lot of boxes, but once you actually go out there and look, things can change, right? So, getting to the next part of the story, let's actually get into the Cubs, right? Looking at the Cubs here. Now, Bob Nightingale, he tweeted out today, the Cubs' optimism of landing Shohei Otani has now significantly waned, one high-ranking executive said, leaving the Dodgers, Blue Jays, Angels, and the Giants as the likely finalists. But then John Heyman came out later on saying the Cubs have not been informed they are out on Ohtani. Doesn't mean report is untrue, but they haven't heard that. Belief is at least the Dodgers, Jays, Giants, and Angels are in. So the Cubs are thinking, what the heck's going on here? What's even happening? But then there was some then Jed Hoyer came out himself. He completely denied it, saying the Cubs, that they are not out on it. And this was from Matty Lee. Jed Hoyer shot down rumblings that the Cubs dropped out of the Ohtani race. I don't know where that came from. There's nothing to report whatsoever. Said the Cubs have not been given a status check from the Ohtani camp. Declined to talk about discussions or meetings. And then this came out a little earlier from Cubs Zone, and this was per Jesse Rogers of ESPN, Waddle and Sylvie. They're on ESPN, right? And then they basically said Jed Hoyer ran into Bob Nightingale before meeting the media in Nashville, and there were some stern words exchanged. I can't even imagine what this was like. I would have had all the popcorn. I would have had my Dr. Pepper handy. If you were there, I wonder if anyone saw this. Maybe did they go into a closed room and talk about this, or was it somewhere off in like the lobby or something, or somewhere? I'm very curious if anyone actually witnessed this, right? I mean, obviously these people witnessed, but if anyone, maybe some other people come out and said, yeah, I saw it, or maybe a video pops up somewhere. I think that could be possible. Who knows? But to me, I don't know. I just always think, I'm always the person, when there's smoke, there's fire. And, I know Bob is definitely wrong a lot, but personally, over the last few days, I haven't felt very good about the Cubs, right? And who knows, we haven't heard anything, and according to Ohtani's camp, that's what they want. That's how they want it, right? So maybe the Cubs are in it. I don't know. We haven't heard anything about the Giants, except for what Slusser said, but that wasn't anyone from the Giants camp saying like, hey, yeah, we met with him, right? I guess it was more just some people saw him out there and basically said, yeah, we saw Ohtani. He's in San Francisco. He was meeting with the team, right? Who knows, right? I don't know what to think of this. It's because if Jed Hoyer is coming out and saying, yeah, no, we're still in this, we're not out. I mean, you got to kind of believe him, right? But I don't know, a gut feeling just tells me, I don't know, like I just feel like the Cubs might not be as strong as the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. That's just a gut thing to me. I'm not even really, it sounds ridiculous. I'm not backing it up with anything. It's just a gut thing. I don't know. I just feel like personally the Dodgers, and with how much steam the Blue Jays have been getting lately and the way they've been hush-hush about things, kind of makes me think maybe the Blue Jays have an edge, right? I personally don't think any team has an actual edge in the Ohtani race. I do think it's pretty even, but I would say the Cubs, they could be a little behind the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. That's just my opinion personally. Who knows? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But let's get to, we just got something from Jack Curry. The Yankees are continuing their efforts to acquire Soto from the Padres. While the two teams have been in a perceived stalemate, the Yankees are said to be trying to get a deal done. So let's actually real quick, we'll go back to the Ohtani stuff in just a second, but let's actually pull this tweet up. This is from Jack Curry just 25, 30 seconds ago. I'll read it one more time. And Jack Curry, I could be wrong, obviously. I'm a Sox fan. I'm not a Yankee fan, but Yankee fans, let me know. I feel like Jack Curry has been a reliable source. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But he says here, the Yankees are continuing their efforts to acquire Soto from the Padres. While the two teams have been in a perceived stalemate, the Yankees are said to be trying to get a deal done. All right. And I've been saying this for the last couple of days. I do think something gets done with the Yankees and the Padres. When you're looking at, the Blue Jays popped up as a team for Soto. I think the Yankees just have more flexibility in what they can offer. And everyone was freaking out like, the Padres, they want 8 players, for Soto and Grisham. But the thing is you have 8 players there, right? It's not like the Blue Jays where really they maybe only have like 2 or 3 guys that they can actually maybe build a package around. The Yankees have multiple players that you can make a package, right? And you don't have to just go with, all 8, right? You're always going to start high, and then you got to kind of bring it down, right, as the negotiations go on. So that's why I've always felt the Yankees, in my opinion, are going to get a deal done for Soto. It just makes a lot of sense. I just think it gets done. So Jack Curry, let's see if he gives us anything else by the end of this stream. We'll have to wait and see. But let's get to Ohtani here. You all were telling me about what Heyman said. All right, so I'm looking at this article for the first time. He just posted this not too long ago. Okay, so this was the article. All right, so let me go back to Heyman. And what do we got? Did Heyman actually tweet anything besides that article? He did actually say Kirby Yates. That's another little move that has happened. Kirby Yates going to the Rangers. And actually, he did tweet something a couple hours ago I thought was pretty interesting. And that is the Yokohama Bay Stars want Trevor Bauer back. Meantime, Bauer's agents are meeting with MLB teams. I don't know. I personally feel like Bauer is going to get some kind of a contract. I don't know. I think maybe at the end of the offseason, like towards the end, he'll end up getting something when teams are desperate. I don't think anything is actually building steam necessarily right now for Bauer. I think maybe they're just doing their due diligence. They're meeting with teams. They're kind of getting a feel. I think Bauer is going to be one of those guys. Once most of the pitchers have come off the board, I think that's when teams will be like, okay, do we want to take a chance on Bauer? That's what I personally think. I could be wrong. But here we go. This is what Heyman tweeted out 11 minutes ago. It was an article that he wrote at 8 o'clock. Clubhouse source. Ohtani expressed interest in the Dodgers and the Jays during the season. And they are the two prominent teams in the final five. So let's get to the article here. Also says here that he couldn't see himself playing in New York. All right, so let's dive into this article here. Word is finally out that Shohei Otani met with at least the Dodgers, Jays, and the Giants, though it isn't known yet who leads among those three finalists, plus the Cubs and the Angels. A clubhouse source told the Post Ohtani told him during the season that he liked the idea of going to at least the Dodgers or the Jays if he left the Angels. Now, my immediate reaction to this, honestly, I mean, I wonder if Ohtani if he sees this article, I wonder if he knows who that person is going to be. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would remember that. Like if I told someone, hey, man, I don't know, man. I like the I like the Dodgers. I like the Blue Jays, you know? And I feel like I would remember that person that I said that to. I wonder who that could be. All right. I don't know. You got to think. I don't know. Who knows how Ohtani feels about that? Oh, we got some breaking news. Oh my goodness, we got some breaking news. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to react so crazy, but we got a little something here, everyone. We got a little something. The Yankees are acquiring Alex Verdugo from, oh my goodness, we got a trade. We got Alex Verdugo from my Red Sox going in division to the Yankees. What does this mean for Soto? Oh, that's hilarious because that comes right after the Jack Curry tweet. Oh, I don't know. Does this mean they're out on Soto? Because when you look at the Yankees now, I mean, how are you going to fit both? Unless, could there be something else cooking? Everyone, we got some breaking news here. Alex Verdugo. I'm sorry, this is not Shohei Otani. This is not the Ohtani news. But we got Alex Verdugo going to the Yankees. This just broke like a minute ago. I'm sorry, Kenneth. I apologize. You got to remember, I'm a Sox fan here, and I just got a little something on my own player here. I'm sorry, man. Josh 1229, is that what Boone was smiling about when he spoke to Cora? I mean, I'm just saying that could be something. Could be something. Everyone, we got Alex Verdugo heading to the Yankees. Now, what could this mean for Juan Soto? Well, Verdugo. Well, here's the thing with Verdugo, right? So let's pull up Verdugo. Let's pull up Mr. Verdugo here. Now, the good thing about Verdugo is he can play all over the outfield. He's not just limited to one spot, right? So last year, Verdugo mostly played right field, right? But he has played out in left. He's even played a little bit of center field, right? So my question is, what are the Yankees thinking here when it comes to his position, right? So if we go back to 2022, right, he was playing all over. Right? He was going back and forth in left and right. And he can play some center. Go back to 2019. He was out in center field for almost 500 innings. Joe, 643 Baseball, how you doing? $1.99. Packaging Verdugo in a trade to San Diego, potentially. I wonder, could they flip him? Oh, then obviously my potato brain is now finally starting to work. Well, this could make some sense. Now. I was thinking immediately like, oh man, are they out? Now, honestly, this is what I think ends up happening. This has to be what's happening, right? Because, you can't fit both. So, we got two options here. It's either they're keeping Verdugo or they're flipping him, right? My immediate thought was, oh my goodness, are they out? Because now I'm starting to think he's going to get flipped. He makes sense for the Padres, right? And I've talked about Juan Soto trades before, right? Where if they end up, getting Soto, right? I've actually came up, if you go to my trade predictions video from not too long ago, I did suggest a trade between the Padres, right, and the Red Sox, right, for Verdugo to go to the Padres. I just feel like with Verdugo, he's going to be a cheaper option. He's a decent player that you can put out there. He's not going to be Juan Soto, obviously. He had a tough second half last year. He wasn't very good in the second half. He was really good in the first half, but there seemed to be some personal things going on with Verdugo. So I don't know. I don't know if that had anything to do with his performance in the second half. Remember, he got benched by Cora. So I don't know. There was just something going on with Verdugo. Everyone, we're at 1,000 people in this chat. I appreciate it. And everyone, I'm actually going to tell you, I know a lot of you are not going to believe me when I say this. I know. I had a little birdie today. Tell me that I can't say who. Got to protect that person. Did say I had a little something that Verdugo could be going somewhere. And I'm not surprised about this, right? Because with Verdugo, there's really, no reason for the Red Sox to keep him, all right? So now that I'm thinking about it, I'm honestly starting to think that he could be sent back, right? But let's actually look at what the Red Sox got, right? So the Red Sox got Richard Fitz, Greg Weissert, and Nicholas Judas. So let's actually pull up the trade simulator and let's actually see if anything can pop up here, right? Sometimes they're doing updates and then we might not have all the players in there because whenever they're doing updates, sometimes they're updating values and whatnot, and so sometimes all the players might not be in there. So let's actually put this together. Let's see what the trade looks like. I wonder, honestly, if this could end up being. My guess is it's probably I would imagine it's approved. So let's see. Let's go to the Red Sox. Let's go to Verdugo. Verdugo, where are you? Okay, so Verdugo has a median value of 4.8. All right, and let's go to these pieces, right? So Richard Fitz is 2.1. All right, we got Weissert. He's at 0.8. It looks like this is going to get approved. And then Judas. Okay, so Judas is not popping up, right? So he's just a lower level guy. Probably has like around a 0 value. That's what I would imagine. But as we can see here, well, hey, no surprise that the Red Sox, looking to just add some minor league pitching, or just depth pitching in the organization. It seems fine, right? But that's going to get approved. That's a fair trade according to the simulator. So, but I'm still wrapping my head around this one. But yeah, I'm honestly starting to think what is going to happen is the Yankees are going to flip Verdugo to San Diego, because we don't ever see the Red Sox and the Yankees make trades, right? We saw the Ottavino trade not too long ago, but it's not very often, right? But remember, we had heard the rumors that maybe the Red Sox were talking Gleyber Torres, right? And we had heard reports prior that Verdugo was someone that the Yankees were targeting. And maybe this is the reason the Yankees have been targeting Verdugo, because maybe they've thought for a while now that Soto could be attainable, and maybe they could just send Verdugo back in a package, right? So let's actually put together a package with the Yankees and the Padres. So keep in mind, Verdugo, he has around a $4-5 million value. Now, my assumption would be, since the Yankees want to hold on to Michael King, right? My guess is Michael King is not going to be in the deal. So, or who knows, maybe he will. But let's actually send Clark Schmidt instead. It could be King, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to stay away from Michael King for right now. But so let's just say, I'm going to, instead of Verdugo here, because this has not been updated, I'm just going to put $5 million for cash. So the cash part here will stand for Verdugo. And so now the Padres, they'll send back Soto. And let's plug this in. All right, so right now, Schmidt and Verdugo by themselves, that would actually be pretty even, right? But the Padres are going to want more than this. So I could see the scenario where the Yankees, where they kind of just start maybe adding some guys, right? I could see Drew Thorpe, okay? I could definitely see Thorpe, because that's a guy the Padres have been asking about. I cannot see Michael King and Thorpe. I personally don't see that happening, all right? That's too much for the Yankees, right? So my guess, maybe the Padres said, all right, if you can go get us another outfielder, right, maybe we can make this happen, right? Anytime I think of trades, I always think of Moneyball, right, when they're working the phones, right, and they're kind of trying to get one deal done, and then that way it can help another deal get done. Remember that part of Moneyball? So I wonder if maybe that's what happened here. Like, hey, go get us, a left fielder, go get us Verdugo, something like that, and we can get a deal done. What is Morosi saying? Javier, what is Morosi saying? What is Morosi saying? Brandon Lee. Passon says they want both. All right, let's check Passon here. Let's go back to Passon. All right, I know I'm kind of putting together stuff right now. What is Passon saying? All right, so Passon said 2 minutes ago, the acquisition, I cannot talk. The acquisition of Alex Verdugo should not take the Yankees out of the Juan Soto sweepstakes. New York has sought left-handed outfield bats, and Soto is the best one. You don't stop chasing stars. So they want Verdugo and Soto? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That just feels a little weird to me. I don't know. If I'm looking at the Yankees, I mean, let's imagine Soto in this lineup. Okay. So Soto would be out in left. Do you put Verdugo out in center? Right? But what's going to happen with Jason Dominguez when he comes back? I don't know. Morosi. What is Morosi saying? My goodness, you guys are going crazy. Let's see. What are these guys saying? Morosi's even got a little something. We got some stuff cooking right now. We got some action here. John Morosi, 2 minutes ago. Red Sox-Yankees trade, fascinating. Boston has interest in Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and this move opens up at bats in the Red Sox outfield, right? So Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I don't know if I like that. Not sure if I like that. I wouldn't mind the bat, but I think Verdugo, that's kind of a guy that you have to clear, right? Because you got a lot of guys that are looking for playing time right now. So let me actually go to the Red Sox here. Let's see if Fangraphs has actually updated this. And with Verdugo now out, right? But now this opens up some playing time for Wilyer Abreu, right? So Verdugo, they actually still have listed here. So, I don't know, man. Right field, I mean, personally, because I would imagine Yoshida, he's going to be out in left, right? And then probably Wilyer Abreu at this point. You know, I don't know, right? Yoshida, yeah, you could put out in left. And I guess you could just put Yoshida in left, and then you could have Gurriel Jr. as the DH, right? So, yeah, I guess I could see that. I don't know. It's not my favorite option. The Red Sox do need some righty bats. I will say that. You got a lot of lefties right now, man. So I would not mind the right-handed bat of Lourdes Gurriel Jr. So I definitely think that could work. So, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, now that I'm wrapping my head around it. But Wilyer Abreu, that's a guy that I really do like a lot. He looked pretty good. Oh, Michael Marino just had something. Michael Marino, friend of the show. He came on last week. He has a little something. Sources tell me the Mets were one of the 3+ teams involved late in trade talks for Verdugo. Verdugo instead goes from Boston to the Yankees. Sources also told me this does not impact the Yankees' pursuit of Soto, which is said to be ongoing. So, I don't know, like, what does this mean exactly? What is Bob saying? What is Mr. Nightingale saying? Nightingale, let's go to Bob. What do you got for me, Bob? He's talking about Ohtani here. The Dodgers, Blue Jays emerge as co-favorites. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this earlier. Trying to see if there's any more details here when it comes to Verdugo. Is there anything else coming out? Let's see. Not seeing anything else, especially when it comes to, what happens with Verdugo. I just find it weird that the Yankees, I mean, I guess you could just keep Verdugo for now, and then when Dominguez comes back, you worry about it then, right? Oh, yeah, and Josh Bricker. I'm completely forgetting about Rafaela, too. Rafaela. Bowden has details. Brandon Lee. What is Jim Bowden saying? Jim Bowden. Mr. Jim, what do you got for me? All right, so Jim Bowden kind of just said the same thing. You can never really trust Jim when it comes to putting together trades. Don't be surprised if the Yankees now try to spin Verdugo in a package with King and Thorpe. I don't see that because King and Thorpe still have a lot of value. I'd be very surprised. John Heyman. John Heyman just tweeted out something. I see Martino. You guys are awesome right now. Keep it up for me. I'm relying on the energy in the chat right now. Juan Soto still in play for the Yankees. Judge plays center. That's interesting. I don't know. Do I want to put Judge out in center field? I don't know about that. Judge out in center? I want to keep Judge off his feet as much as possible. What is Martino saying? Martino, what do you got for me? Here we go. Martino, 11 seconds ago, as well as a minute ago, the Yankees are still in on Soto. Okay. Brian Cashman said he wanted to add 2 left-handed hitting outfielders. All right. Well, the one thing with Verdugo, Sure, he had a pretty tough second half last year, but what Verdugo, if he ends up staying with the Yankees, what this is going to do for the Yankees, it's going to give them another bat that makes a lot of contact. So that is one thing you are going to get with Verdugo. Sure, numbers went down a lot in the second half last year, but he's going to put the bat on the ball, and that's what the Yankees need a lot, right? So if he ends up staying, I definitely see a benefit there. Mets fan, $1.99. I see another trade tonight. Am I going to have to stay on here for a little while tonight? It sounds like I'm going to have to hang out here for a little while. Because could we see something? We got some action right now. And this could be the first bit of a domino to fall tonight. I did not expect this. Now, I did get word earlier in the day. I can't say exactly who. I know some of you are going to be like, oh, you don't got sources. You don't get any of that. But no, I had a little birdie tell me today that Verdugo could get moved. But that's not my lane to go out there and announce that. That's just not how I do things. But I was expecting a possibility of a Verdugo trade, right? I had been told the Mets, the Yankees, the Blue Jays as well. That was another team that was involved in possible talks for Verdugo. And I'm not surprised that the Blue Jays could have been in on it, right? Because the Yankees, right, they're also in division, and the Yankees have also been going for Soto, right? So I'm not surprised to hear that maybe the Blue Jays were looking at it too. So that's what I was told. Either way. But again, I know that sounds a little silly that I'm like, yeah, I know I was told this earlier today, but it's not my lane. It's not my place. I was told this at around, I have the text right here. I'm not going to say who. But the text that I got this morning, I'll read the text for you. I got something for you. Don't go anywhere. Verdugo goes today. The Mets and 3 others are in. The Yankees, Blue Jays, Padres are the other 3, right? So he said the Mets, Yankees, Blue Jays, and Padres are the other 3. Yeah, so I'm not going to tell you who it is because I'm going to, keep that person protected. But I was told that I will give you the exact time, at 10:29 a.m. All right, so doesn't really mean anything. I was told it, but I was hoping that something could happen. I was wondering when he told me that at the time, I was wondering if maybe something was going to happen in that hour, and luckily nothing did because I was pretty busy at the time too. So I'm glad we got something by the end of the night. So I'm not surprised that this has maybe been something that's been in the works all day. So still wrapping my head around this. We got 1,200 people in the chat. Everyone, if you can, hit the like button for me. Where are we at with the likes? I'm going to break this down a little bit more. Wow, we're almost at 400 likes. You're all amazing. If anyone is new, think about subscribing. We're talking about baseball here pretty much every single day. Let's get back to this. All right, so if you are just coming in here, Alex Verdugo heading to the Yankees. Pretty funny. I'm glad I'm live, honestly. I'm really glad that I'm live for this. I'm very glad because I was actually on my way to just talking about a couple more stories and then wrapping things up. I'm glad this happened before the stream ended because the butt of the joke for this channel is I always end the show right before something happens. So, what did Carabas say? What did Jared say? Someone in the chat telling me about Carabas. What did he say? Of course. He's posting a picture of Juan Soto. Listen, come on. Craig, what are you doing right now? We need an outfielder. Well, I guess we don't necessarily need one. We got some young guys, right? We got Ceddanne Rafaela. We got Willie Abreu. But, I think we can make some room for Juan Soto. Look how beautiful Juan Soto looks in that Red Sox jersey. I know he's in Yankee Stadium. I know. But look at him. He looks beautiful. Get Juan Soto in a Red Sox jersey. My goodness. Says here, if the Yankees use Verdugo in a deal for Soto, it's a cyanide sandwich for lunch. Honestly, how hilarious is that if he ends up getting packaged for Juan Soto, right? So he was used in the Mookie Betts trade, and now he's going to be possibly used in a Juan Soto trade. That's pretty hilarious to me. I mean, honestly, if you're Alex Verdugo, I mean, you can take that to the bank. Be like, hey, I'm that good. I was in the Mookie Betts trade. I was in the Juan Soto trade, right? That's not bad if you ask me. So now what could the Yankees do here? I have a hard time imagining that it's going to be Michael King and Drew Thorpe in the deal. I have a hard time imagining that. I don't know, man, because remember with Juan Soto, it's 1 year of Juan Soto. As good as he is, he's making $33 million, right? He still has a really good surplus for 1 year, right? If he had 2 years, then you're looking at a much higher value, right? But you're looking at around 25, 30 million. So right now, if you did a package of Clark Schmidt, Drew Thorpe, and here I have cash instead of Verdugo. Verdugo is worth right around 5 million. I think you could add a couple more pieces here. I think you could maybe throw in Randy Vasquez. Maybe you could do Brito, right? I don't know, like at this point, if you send back Verdugo, does that mean Grisham comes back? I mean, Grisham and Verdugo are going to be making around the same money. So, I don't know. I don't think Grisham would be involved anymore at this point. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know. I feel like Grisham wouldn't be in this deal if you're not going to just swap Verdugo for Grisham. I don't know. Maybe the Padres would like Verdugo instead. I don't know. But right now, if you were to do this trade, it would be rejected. So maybe you take out Randy Vasquez. It still would be rejected. So maybe take out Brito. Maybe you do Clark Schmidt, Drew Thorpe, and Alex Verdugo. And maybe that gets approved. I don't know what it could be. Who knows? I have no idea. Maybe the Padres pay a little bit of Soto's deal. Maybe they pay like $5 million. Right, that way you can throw in like another pitcher or something. I don't know how they do this. Right, I'm coming up with this in my head as we go. But look out. Whatever it ends up being, I do think there's still a realistic chance here that Soto is going to be a Yankee, right? My immediate reaction was, are they out on Juan Soto? But then I thought about it. It was like, no, well, Verdugo, he could be just flipped. All right. And I've come up with the idea before. I think Verdugo would have been a nice fit for the Padres, right? If they were to get rid of Soto, I thought, okay, you could do a deal with the Red Sox. But I didn't think about this way, right? You could just do, basically a three-way trade almost, right? Go get Verdugo for us, and then we'll work something out. I wonder what it could end up being. I don't know. Let's do this. Could you just do Michael King and Verdugo? That would get approved by the simulator. Michael King and Verdugo? I don't know. Maybe. What do you think? Do you think the Yankees would do it? Michael King, Alex Verdugo for Juan Soto? Is that what it ends up being? Or do you swap out Michael King for perhaps Clark Schmidt and Drew Thorpe? That's what I honestly see that. That to me, I feel like, it's kind of like that happy medium. You're not going to get Michael King, but you know what? We'll give you Clark Schmidt, who does have more years of control, right? Let's see if Clark Schmidt does it, any better with the Padres, and then they give him Drew Thorpe. That's right around the same value. Clark Schmidt, Drew Thorpe is around the same as Michael King. I wonder if that ends up being the deal. Maybe you could throw in one more piece. Maybe, I don't know. Did I try Johnny Brito? That would be rejected. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I personally don't think it's going to be Michael King and Drew Thorpe. That's just too much, right? But especially now, if you got Verdugo, I don't know. I just feel like it's, I don't know, like maybe could you swap them? But the whole reason why Trent Grisham was involved in the talks was for salary relief. So it just seems a little counterintuitive right now that you would just swap the guys, right? Unless maybe they just like Verdugo, right? I guess you could still do it, right? So, I don't know. Look out. Basically, there's a whole bunch of ways you can skin a cat, right? But I do wonder if something happens with Soto tonight. I think that could be very possible. Wow, we just had a lot happen. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect Alex Verdugo to be a New York Yankee. Wasn't expecting that at all. But I was expecting a trade. Wasn't sure if it was going to happen today. I was pretty certain, my gut was telling me this whole offseason, Verdugo was going somewhere. But I was absolutely expecting something today or at least tomorrow. And after I was told by my source in the morning, something was going to happen. So, any other news here? Let me just check here. Has anyone else posted anything? Do we got anything? What do we got? I already got someone, Craig Breslow believer, already clipping my reaction. Good grief. What do we got? John Heyman. That's the last thing we got. John Heyman from 12 minutes ago. Saying that Judge could play center field. I don't know. I don't like that idea. Yankee fans, do you like that idea? Are you okay with Aaron Judge playing center field? Dude, I want Judge being a DH, to be completely honest with you. I want to keep that guy off his feet as much as possible, man. Maybe play a little outfield. I'd actually be okay with him just going out to the left. He's a good outfielder. I just want Judge to be healthy. Flob, $2 super chat. Doogie in the Mookie deal. Now, hopefully, Soto is fun. I mean, that sounds just crazy to me. Like, that Verdugo is going to be in two separate trades for two guys that could end up going down as, two of the best players to, ever play the game. That's pretty cool if you ask me. Say what you will about Verdugo, but he's got that going for him. All right. Well, if anything else happens, we'll get to that. But let's move on here because we did have a little something else to talk about, a couple other things to talk about. So we'll keep that in our heads. If anything does happen, I'll be here. I'm almost kind of wanting to stay on for a little while just in case something happens. Are we going to be here for a couple hours? My goodness. Wasn't expecting that. But let's get to some other stories. Let's kind of, buy some time here because I did have some other stories to talk about. Speaking of the Red Sox, we did have some other stuff out in the news today with the Red Sox. And John Morosi putting out there today that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is one of the Red Sox's top priorities at the winter meetings. You all know, in my predictions video, I predicted Yamamoto to go to the Red Sox. I just have a really good feeling. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just being a Red Sox fan for over 25 years. It's just, I don't know. My gut is telling me, I'm not saying we're going to get him. I know I predicted it. I know. But I think we have a really good chance at him. I just think the Red Sox, they're ready to spend some money. They've shown in the past, like the Yankees, right? When they're coming off some bad seasons and the fan base is getting a little restless, they go out and make moves. Go look at David Price back in 2016. Go look at him, right? Remember the whole John Lester thing? They let him go. Losing, right? They had 2014 was bad, 2015 was bad. And they went out there and they got David Price because they needed to. right? Ownership will open the checkbook. They will. If they are under pressure, they will go out and get guys, right? Go back to prior off seasons. Go back to Theo Epstein after that 2010 season, right? These moves didn't work out, but they made some big moves with Adrian Gonzales, Carl Crawford, right? Yeah, I know those were not great signings, but they went out and they opened the checkbook and they signed some guys, right? Or traded for Gonzales. Go back to Theo Epstein, right? I mean, he did leave in the gorilla suit back then, but go back after the 2005 season, they had lost Pedro after 2004. They needed a guy. They went out and got Beckett, right? They gave up their top prospect, Hanley Ramirez, and they went out and got Beckett. I know that's not opening the checkbook, but you know what I mean? It's a big deal, right? Big move. So in the past, the Red Sox, they've made many moves anytime their backs are against the wall. And yeah, Yamamoto, we talked about this yesterday. He could end up costing maybe even close to $300 million. Who knows what the contract ends up looking like in terms of incentives or the way it's structured, all right? But yeah, maybe you could get close to that. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw anything from like 250, 275. I think that sounds pretty reasonable. But Yamamoto, man, I'm honestly glad to see this report because we've been seeing a lot of reports in the last couple of days that, Nightingale saying it's down to the Mets, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. I just think that's irresponsible journalism to me. And it's like, listen, I get it. Nightingale, Heyman, these are the guys that are out there. They're doing everything they can. I understand, but like, I don't know, man. I just feel like a lot of the times they're just throwing stuff out there and they just use the big name teams. And it's just always, especially with Nightingale, I feel like it's always Dodgers, Yankees, or Mets anytime with the big names, right? All the time. It just feels like that with Nightingale. I could be wrong. But it's nice to see because the Red Sox, to me, even if they don't land him, they make a lot of sense to be at least in like the final 4 or 5, right? To me, it's like I'm not counting the Red Sox out until he actually signs somewhere. Yeah, very good chance he can just go to the Dodgers, especially if the Dodgers don't get Shohei Otani and he ends up going to the Blue Jays, then yeah, the Dodgers are definitely a threat to go get Yamamoto. Absolutely. Could you imagine an offseason? I want you to all close your eyes for me. Could you imagine an offseason where the Dodgers don't get Ohtani and don't get Yamamoto? Could you imagine that? Oof. What a fail of an offseason that would be. But the Dodgers would be scary for Yamamoto, especially if they don't get Ohtani, right? Because that's a lot of money right there, and they can go out and they can go open that checkbook. We got something from Jack Curry. A little something from Jack Curry. What did he tell us? Jack Curry, what do you got? Even after acquiring Verdugo, the Yankees continue to push to add Soto. I do wonder if they're going to end up having to include King and Thorpe in the deal. Listen, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I don't know, man. When you're crunching the numbers, you're giving up. That's a lot. Michael King has got 2 years of control. He's really cheap. He's not making a lot of money next year, and he's been putting up really good numbers the last 2 seasons. That's a lot to give up. I know. It's Juan Soto. I know that, but I'm looking at it from an economical point of view, right? Where it's 1 year of Soto. Michael King, that's a guy that's going to give you some good innings, and he's cheap, right? That's a good value. And Thorpe, that's a good pitching prospect. It could end up having to be that, right? I personally think I don't know. I do personally think it's going to be too much, but it could happen. I'm not saying it can't. I definitely think the Yankees are going to push for Schmidt instead of King. I wonder what the package could end up looking like. It's going to be really interesting. So, all right, well, Jack Curry giving us that little something. But again, on Yamamoto, I'm not counting the Red Sox out. And I'm glad Morosi put this out there today saying that he is still their top priority. Right, because I've been seeing a lot of stuff, like not even including, this is no bias. I'm just talking from a neutral point of view here. Like I would say this, if like the Mariners or whoever, to me, I just think a team like the Red Sox, they just make a ton of sense, right? You could even say the Cubs, right? Why not the Cubs? I mean, if they're looking, to try and get Ohtani, why aren't the Cubs involved here? Why aren't we seeing them more, right? So I think really it's kind of, in my opinion, it's a little hard to say right now because Ohtani is still on the board. You kind of have to wait for Ohtani to come off to really get a clear picture because a lot of Ohtani's market is also Yamamoto's market. So if the Cubs don't get Ohtani, then yeah, I would absolutely expect them to be definitely a favorite. You could even maybe say the Blue Jays. I mean, why not? Why not the Blue Jays, right? But I'm glad the Red Sox are still being given some respect here. Let's move on here. Speaking of Morosi, he also was on MLB Network this morning, and he talked about Cody Bellinger, saying that he is among their free agent options. And if we go back to a couple of days ago, right, they made the Jared Kelenic trade and, clearing a lot of payroll, right? Getting rid of Marco Gonzales, getting rid of Evan White. They traded Eugenio Suarez not too long ago to the Diamondbacks. And to me, when I'm seeing all this payroll getting removed, and I know the Mariners, they've done some payroll clearing moves in the past, right? But there's something that feels different about this one, and it feels like the Mariners are looking to do something. And honestly, I could see it fit here. They definitely need someone in the outfield, right? You got Julio Rodriguez out in center, so I guess you could just put Bellinger out in right, or maybe you could move Julio. I would imagine Julio stays out in center field, but Bellinger, I think, would be a really nice option. It would give him another good bat, staying out in the West Coast. That seems to be, where Bellinger, I don't know, maybe that's kind of where he wants to be. We've seen a lot of interest from the Giants too. And the Cubs, I've even seen a report out there today. I can't remember who exactly said it, but could the Cubs maybe be falling out a little bit with Cody Bellinger, right? A lot of people were expecting him to move on, but I was seeing a report today saying that the Cubs might not be really interested in bringing back Bellinger completely. So we'll have to see what happens there, but I could absolutely see the Mariners being a fit. I think it ties perfectly into what they've been doing for the last couple of days, right? Clearing payroll. We'll see. We'll see, but that would be an impact bat that they definitely need. Getting back to the Red Sox here, and this isn't just about the Red Sox. There's other teams as well. But Seth Lugo, he's been coming up, and I think Seth Lugo is a bit of an underrated name, right? He was a reliever not too long ago, turned into a starter, and that's a good comparison. If you want a good comp for Michael King, Seth Lugo is a really good comp, right? Because Lugo was a bullpen guy, then he transitioned to being a starter last year, and he did really well in the role. So Lugo has definitely shown you can be a reliever that turns into a starter and you can get it done. But the Red Sox, they're stepping up their efforts for him. There's also 4 or 5 others, including the Braves, that are interested. So for the Red Sox, excuse my giraffe neck Robbie here, but for the Red Sox, I think this would be a really nice addition for their rotation. I think it makes a lot of sense for the Red Sox to add someone like this, right? Because right now, you're going into the season with a rotation of Brian Bayo, Chris Sale, Nick Pivetta. I mean, listen, I like Brian Bayo, but right now, I'm more confident in Brian Bayo being the 2 or the 3 in the rotation. I think Brian Bayo can absolutely, as he gets older and continues to improve, I could see Bayo being the number 1 at some point in this rotation. But I think right now, being the 2 or 3, preferably 3 in the rotation, I think that's where he needs to be. So when I'm seeing Chris Sale in the number 1 spot, I like Pivetta, sure, but I don't know. I don't want him being the number 2. And Cutter Crawford, that's more of a back-end guy. Tanner Houck has yet to figure it out in the rotation, going deeper into games. Could Tanner Houck just be more of that bullpen kind of a guy? So I think with Lugo, what he's going to do for the Red Sox is he's going to fortify the mid to back end of the rotation, but they still go for other guys. So, and you could say the same thing with Atlanta. I think Atlanta would be a really nice fit for Seth Lugo. Because right now, Strider, Fried, Morton, I feel like it would go a long way for the Braves. I like Charlie Morton, had a pretty solid season last year, but I just wonder, 40 years old now, is he going to hold up, right? Is he going to be able to hold up for the entire season? So I think bringing in a guy like Seth Lugo, that's just going to be a good piece to add, right? And who knows what happens here with Marco Gonzales. There's been some reports that they could flip him. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, I could see the Braves. But I honestly feel like the Braves need to shoot higher when it comes to adding a starter. We've seen Dylan Cease. I guess there's been some reports the last couple of days that perhaps that's been overblown. Who was reporting that again? Was it Mark Bowman? I think Mark Bowman. Is that the correct name? I'm always going blank. I think he's the Braves beat reporter on MLB.com. He was basically saying that those reports have been overblown. I don't know what to think. But I think the Braves personally should try to shoot higher for a starter that you can put with Strider and Fried. If you got a 1-2-3 of Strider, Fried, and Cease, that's nasty to me. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But I think Seth Lugo, he's a really underrated guy on the market. I would like him. I would like Seth Lugo in this rotation for the Red Sox. At the end of the day, though, they also need to shoot higher. So we'll see where Seth Lugo ends up going. But I'm also not surprised to see someone on his, tier level that's getting attention, right? Because right now the top of the market is completely blocked, right? There's a big log jam at the top of the market right now. So teams, they're pivoting and they're going to that third or fourth tier of the market, right? You got Ohtani in his own tier, and then you got the Bellingers, right? You could even maybe put Yamamoto in that tier with Ohtani, right? Is that fair? If it's Ohtani, then maybe you go, the Ohtani tier, the Yamamoto tier, and then you got guys like Bellinger, right, in that next one. So I don't know. I could say maybe you could put Ohtani, Yamamoto in that top tier together. Why not? They're going to be getting big bucks. But yeah, not surprised to see a lot of these teams going for these kind of pictures right now, right? You're seeing a lot of attention on these guys. We've even seen Jack Flaherty getting some attention, right? So seems like that's what teams are doing. And that's what you have to do. You got to read the market, right? You got to kind of go with what the market's doing. But, you also have to be patient too. And it's hard, right? Especially these teams that are going after Ohtani. It's hard because you want to land a big name like that, but you also have to make sure you're not, getting, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not getting distracted, just putting all your eggs in one basket, right? You got to keep your attention on the other parts of the market too. So that's hard, man. I can't imagine being in that spot. That's got to be tough. But we also have Lucas Giolito, right? Let's get back to this tier that we're talking about. And Lucas Giolito had a really tough time last year towards the end of the year. Second half was not very good. But the one thing with Lucas Giolito I do like is he's going to give you innings, right? Lucas Giolito is a pretty durable guy, and I think if he just goes to the right spot, I think that could end up working out really well. I think Giolito, the fact that he's getting so much interest, I think says a lot. Because you're probably looking, Giolito is terrible with the Angels. He was terrible with the Guardians over those couple of starts. Why are all these teams showing interest? Well, because Giolito is a durable guy. He's always been known to be a pretty decent clubhouse guy as well. But he's a guy that he's going to give you innings, right? He's going to be that guy for you every fifth day. And, he still has pretty good velocity. He's a guy that you can work with, right? And you can get him back on track. And look at what he was doing with the White Sox, in the first half of the year. He was pretty decent with the White Sox for the most part. So I think teams think, he's 29 years old. There's still a lot left in the tank with Lucas Giolito. So you're getting a lot of attention from the Dodgers. I think that could end up being a really good fit. He's a California guy. they do pretty well with bringing guys in and, getting them back on track. So I could see the Dodgers personally. The Mets, my Red Sox, I'm not surprised with the Red Sox because they need innings. So no surprise to see them looking at Lugo and Giolito. That suggests to me that the Red Sox could be close to making something happen when it comes to adding someone for the rotation. The Diamondbacks getting involved. Even the Royals. Look at the Royals out there getting in on the action. You got to love it. And we also got Eduardo Rodriguez. He's been he's been moving around out there in Nashville. He's been, meeting with teams, whatever. Eduardo Rodriguez, his free agent market is moving quickly, and he could reach a decision prior to Ohtani. I'm not surprised about that. Why does he have to wait for Ohtani? Eduardo Rodriguez, he's not really going to be, at least in my opinion, I think Rodriguez, he's a really good number 2 for the rotation. I know that might maybe rattle some people. I personally see Rodriguez as a 2. He pitched really well with the Tigers last year. But I think on like a playoff team, I would rather have Rodriguez as my number 2. That just for me personally, after many years with Eduardo Rodriguez, I would much rather have him as my 2. So, yeah, I could definitely see him signing before Ohtani. He has had multiple in-person meetings with teams, according to John Heyman. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. We had a couple super chats coming in. We still got almost 1,000 people in this chat. You're amazing. As an M's fan, keep Gilbert's name out of your mouth. Keep up the good work. Listen. The Red Sox, according to reports the last couple of days, they're aggressive on the pitching market. And there are reports that they are willing to give up top prospects to get it done. Now, I think for the Mariners, I don't really see the Mariners. I think if they trade Gilbert, I think they would want something that can help them now. So the idea that I came up with a Mariners trade for Logan Gilbert, could you do Jarren Duran? Could you maybe do Cutter Crawford, right, who was pretty decent last year in the Red Sox rotation? Throw in a couple more prospects. Don't think most Mariners fans would like that. But to me, when I'm thinking of including a guy like a Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, I don't know. I just don't think, I think for the Mariners, yeah, like they would love to have prospects like that. But I would think that they would want major league pieces at the moment, right? I just feel like getting rid of Logan Gilbert for minor leaguers, even if they are top minor leaguers, that's not really helping them out right now, or unless you do maybe Marcelo Meyer. Maybe you could do like Cutter Crawford, Marcelo Meyer, right? They get a picture, and then they end up getting a top shortstop prospect. Mariners fans, would you like something like that? I don't know. Marcelo Meyer being one of the top prospects in the game. We had another super chat here from Mets fan, $1.99. The Mets are pushing hard for Michael Taylor. I've been seeing Michael Taylor's name come up a little bit, and I'm not surprised to see maybe the Mets once again kind of going this route. And now that they're out on Alex Verdugo, because that was the report today, that at least my report told me that the Mets were looking at Alex Verdugo, right? So now that they're out on Verdugo, they're going to shift their focus. Maybe they could go after Michael Taylor. So I could definitely see that. That's kind of how I saw the Mets approaching this offseason. Yeah, they could go land Yamamoto for sure. But to me, you got David Stearns coming in, a guy that's worked with the small payrolls. It just feels, in my opinion, yeah, I know, Yamamoto, even maybe someone like Montgomery, yeah, it's going to be a long-term investment, so I could see the argument there. I don't know, just like based off of a feel thing, I just wonder if the Mets make those big-ticket signings. I could be very wrong, and I end up beating my words, but we'll see. But I could see something like Michael Taylor. That could make some sense. Taylor, how you doing, my friend? $10 super chat. If the Cubs are out on Ohtani, what do you think would be a successful offseason? As always, love the show. Taylor, I love you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by. I would think personally, for the Cubs, go out, get a bat, right? Losing Bellinger, you got to get some kind of a bat. And I definitely think they need some pitching. I would honestly love Yamamoto on my Red Sox. But I would love Yamamoto on the Cubs. That would be huge, right? And you know they got the money, all right? They're looking to make some moves. They're looking to make some splashes. Yamamoto on the Cubs would be awesome. I would love that for them, all right? Go get Yamamoto. Instead of Ohtani, go get Yamamoto. Honestly, I know Cubs fans, they're probably going to, at this one. I would love Matt Chapman on that team. I would love it. I really would. I think that left side of the infield would be so good. Chapman and Swanson on the left side, nothing's getting past them. That's an awesome left side of the infield. I would love that, right? I already see it. Donnie in the chat, no Matt Chapman. He's vomiting everywhere. I know. I just like the defense. I'm a defense kind of a guy. I like run prevention. What can I say? Secular Monk. $5 super chat. Until the ownership of the team actually shows it wants to win, the Mariners fan is dead inside. Stanton needs to sell the team. I think the Mariners do something. I think they need something. So let's act. Speaking of the Cubs, Secular Monk, thank you for that. I think they do something, man. I think they do. Let's get to the Cubs here because we actually did have a little something on the Cubs today. And Bob Nightingale, he tweeted out, he got yelled at by Jed Hoyer. Jed Hoyer was giving him stone cold stunners somewhere. But he says here, Christopher Morel's name has surfaced in talks with the Rays about Tyler Glasnow. All right, let's get back to the simulator. I actually had this trade pulled up not too long ago. And let's take a look. Here we go. What do we got? Cubs and the Rays. Now, I would love Tyler Glasnow, right? Yeah. Yamamoto, he would look good in a Cubs jersey. He would. He'd look better in a Red Sox jersey, though. He would look much better in a Red Sox jersey, but he would look pretty good in a Cubs jersey. But if they don't get him, Glasnow, I think, would be a nice trade. The one thing the Cubs need, if I were to answer your question more, and I've said this multiple times, is they really need some more strikeouts, in my opinion. They need more stuff in the rotation. I like Justin Steele, all right? Stroman, who knows if he ends up coming back? Who knows? I haven't heard anything about Stroman this year or this offseason. What's going on with Marcus Stroman? I'm surprised. Remember Marcus Stroman was like a top name not too long ago? Oh, Jeff Passan. We just talked about Marco Gonzales a second ago, and Jeff Passan is giving it to us. Marco Gonzales. The Pittsburgh Pirates are making a splash. Oh, and we actually just had a report about the Pirates not too long ago that they're planning to increase payroll. Well, okay then. All right, well, look at that. They're adding some payroll. Marco Gonzales. So what does this mean for the Atlanta Braves? What does this mean? Are the Braves looking to make something happen in that rotation? I know I'm maybe overreacting to, it's a pretty small move at the end of the day, but I think it could mean more things for the Atlanta Braves. But hey, for the Pirates, let's see. If you can get a good year out of Marco Gonzales, I think that's all right. And that's what the Pirates kind of need to do at this point. They kind of have to go for these lower tier guys. Just how it is. This is the place that they're in. So for Marco Gonzales, he's going to go into this rotation. You got Mitch Keller, right? And, with the Pirates, man, that was a blow. Losing Johan Oviedo. Big blow, man. That was a stinker right there. Having to get Tommy John. Now, I'm not saying Marco Gonzales is going to be a game changer for you, but he'll go into this rotation if he's healthy. That'll be some decent innings for you. And let's actually go pull up Marco Gonzales here, and let's look at his numbers over the last couple of years. And taking a look. Now, ERA hasn't been amazing. 5.22 last year, a 4.13 in 2022. Now, the one thing I will say, though, I will say this. His FIP was better this past season than his FIP. It's really weird because his ERA was in the 4s in 22. And then it jumped up to the 5s. But if you look here, his FIP was in the 5s in 2022. And then his ERA jumped up to the 5s this year. But his FIP was in the 4s. That's right around league average, a 4.28 FIP. So could that suggest that maybe Marco Gonzales could be on track to maybe being that, 4 ERA kind of a guy? And I think if the Pirates get that, if they could get, 25, 30 starts out of him, I think that's fine for the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's not game-changing. It's not earth-shattering by any means. But I think what this says to us more is the Braves are looking to add something to this rotation. Josh, what is iTalk telling us? Sometimes iTalk will have a little something. What is he telling us, my friend? iTalk Studios, sometimes he'll have something. He'll be cooking. He has gotten some stuff right before. All right, he tells us. So I will say, iTalk Studios, he has gotten... Did he delete it? He might have deleted it. Hold on, everyone. He deleted it. He deleted it. iTalk Studios. He just put out there that the Red Sox were in talks for Lourdes Gurriel Jr., but he deleted it. So I don't know. Could there be something happening there? I'm not sure. Anyway, bit of a false alarm right there. Martino, you guys are telling me Martino said something. What did Martino say? Says here, yeah, the Yankees are still working on stuff. Unclear as yet if they'll finish another transaction tonight. Honestly, that's not bad because, honestly, I'm getting tired over here. My goodness, it's 10 o'clock. It's almost my bedtime. I'm just saying. Did iTalk put it back up? I see you in the chat. Clutch Fire. Refresh. I don't think he put it back up. Did he? Oh, no, he did. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. He put it back up. Here we go. The Red Sox are in talks to get Lourdes Gurriel Jr. So that's a pretty random one right there. So I do think there is something. And I know with iTalk, he has had little Red Sox ones before, and he actually had something on Trevor Story if you go back a couple of years ago. So he's said little moves before, right? Michael Chavis, when he went to the Pirates, he did have that. So I could honestly see this. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I know I was kind of saying earlier, like when I was thinking about it. But with Lourdes, he's a guy that you can just put as your DH. I don't know, man. I feel like, why not just bring Turner back? You know what I mean? Why not just bring Justin Turner back? I mean, he did really well for the Red Sox last year. I don't know. Like, if I'm just looking at the two guys, like if I'm looking at Lourdes Gurriel Jr., I'd rather have Turner. To be honest with you, I know, when you're looking at the two, let's actually put their numbers side by side. So Turner last year, he had. I see you in the chat. Win-win. Maybe Turner isn't interested. No, Turner has really been on the record, saying he would like to come back to Boston. Right? He would like to try and get to the playoffs with Boston, right? He went to whatever there was some writers thing in Boston, right? And he was there. So, yeah, Justin Turner, he would like to come back. But at the end of the day, it is down to money, right? Now, the one thing with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is he is much younger than Justin Turner. And when you're looking at the numbers, Turner, he had a 114 WRC plus. Gurriel Jr. had a 106. I don't know. I'd rather just have Turner. But it depends what Turner's looking for. The one thing Lourdes Gurriel Jr. had was a 463 slugging. Right around the same home runs. Justin Turner got on base more. I mean, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is projected for a better season next year. At a 1.6 Fangraph WAR, and they're projecting 0.9 for Justin Turner. So, I don't know. Let's go look at exit velocities. Let's go look at this. Let me pull up here. Let's pull up some Baseball Savant. We're talking Lourdes Gurriel Jr. here, everyone. We might have a little something. We got a little birdie out there saying the Red Sox might be talking to Lourdes Gurriel Jr., courtesy of iTalk Studios. And let's look at the StatCast numbers. Got a little something. We got 800 people in this chat. Oh, he's here. iTalk is here. iTalk, I saw the news. Yeah, you are right about that. Gurriel is definitely younger. Definitely is younger. Well, let's look at the StatCast numbers. Let's dive into this together. iTalk, thank you for the news, my friend. So Justin Turner last year, exit velocity right around, 55 percentile, 89.5. Gurriel Jr. right around the same, 77% hard hit percentage. Actually, he had the better hard hit percentage than Justin Turner. Turner had, he was in the 71st percentile for chase. Didn't swing and miss a whole lot. Justin Turner makes a lot of contact. And actually, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., pretty similar when it came to the whiff percentage. Strikeouts, doesn't really strike out too much. Now, one thing, they're very similar in my opinion. Very similar because when you're looking at the spray chart, right, they both pull. Okay, so actually, let's go to the expected numbers. What would have Lourdes Gurriel Jr. had at Fenway Park? So they say here he would have had 22 home runs at Fenway. And for Turner, if he played all of his games at Fenway, actually, funny enough, they said 20 home runs at Fenway. So maybe they actually end up being pretty similar. I don't know. Maybe that was my, after looking at the numbers a little bit, I guess I'd be okay with it. I guess maybe that's that ginger connection, right? Justin Turner, that's my ginger brother-in, man. I love Justin Turner. I mean, come on. I got to keep my ginger brother in town. I mean, it's just how it has to be. He's the only ginger, that only ginger player that I could really turn to in times of need, right? I'm just saying. I got to keep the ginger in town. Well, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., he's a fun player too. It was just in a World Series. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now, after looking at the numbers here, after I've digested a little bit, I could see this. Now, the only thing with Justin Turner is, he walks a little bit more, right? Makes a ton of contact. But, it also depends too. What are the contracts looking like? This tells me if, they're interested in Gurriel Jr., they're probably talking to Turner too. Right? So my guess is maybe Turner is looking for like a 2-year deal, maybe 3. And maybe with Gurriel Jr., maybe looking, he'll do like a 1-year deal. It depends. So, there's going to be financials that come into play as well. Right? Not just how much money overall, but maybe the amount of years. So maybe that's a bit of a hang up there. So we'll have to wait and see if this comes to fruition. We've seen a lot about the Red Sox today. We've seen them having interest in some pictures out there. We've seen them connected with Martin Maldonado, who I would also love to come to Boston. That guy handles a pitching staff very well. So that to me would be a huge plus to bring to Boston. I would love that. I would absolutely like Martin Maldonado sharing a lot of the catching duties, right? He's going to be good defensively, and he calls a great game, right? So, Kyle, you're thinking Gurriel looking for 4 years minimum. Oh, I don't know if the Red Sox would give him a 4-year deal. I could see 2-3 tops. 4-year deal. I don't know, man. It's interesting. But let's actually get back to what we were talking about earlier before we got interrupted. All right, we had a couple of things just pop up right there. But we were talking about Christopher Morel and Tyler Glasnow possibly being in a trade together. So let's go to Glasnow. Let's put Glasnow on the Cubs. All right. And if Christopher Morel were to go back to the Rays, right, as you can see here, Morel, you got to remember with Christopher Morel, he's got a lot of years of control. He looked really good last year. He's young. He can play multiple positions. In my opinion, and also the numbers opinion, he has more value than Tyler Glasnow. He's got 1 year. He's got a lot of injury risk, 1 year of control. So, to me, I don't think the Cubs are giving Christopher Morel unless, however, this would be a blockbuster. Could you do Isaac Paredes, Tyler Glasnow in a package? Remember earlier I talked about maybe Matt Chapman? Cubs fans, I think if you got Isaac Paredes, that would be massive. That would be a great bat to add. Cubs fans, don't you complain about Isaac Paredes. That would be a great bat to add. So could you maybe put together a blockbuster deal here with the Rays and the Cubs? Okay, well, you got Morel. All right, well, let's add some pieces. Now, I think the Cubs, they definitely have their work cut out for them. Would they give up Cade Horton? I don't know about that. John Heyman putting out an article. Michael King could be the kingpin. Oh, my goodness. John Heyman, using your words. I love it. Saying Michael King could be the kingpin in a Juan Soto trade. What else we got? So, could the Cubs maybe put together some kind of a deal? Now, Cade Horton, I have a hard time seeing them part with him, right? Could you maybe do Jordan Wicks? Could you maybe do Alcantara? I don't know. Could you? I'm just saying, Rays are looking for a catcher. I mean, I don't know. Would they do Miguel Amaya? I don't know. But let's just, maybe you could do Hayden Wesneski. Maybe you could do Ben Brown. And here, you got a 5 for 2. Right? You got Morel, you got Wicks, you got Alcantara, you got Wesneski, and you got Ben Brown for Tyler Glasnow and Isaac Paredes. I'm just saying. It depends, what do the Rays think? Obviously, do the Cubs want to get rid of these players? I don't know. So, we'll have to see. Could they come together? I mean, we've been hearing Tyler Glasnow and the Cubs forever. Right? So, let's see if a deal gets done. To me, I personally have a hard time seeing Christopher Morel just straight up for Tyler Glasnow. I don't think the Cubs do that. I don't know. So I'm seeing a lot of you not reacting to this one very good. Willie Bob, you should mock a trade with Glasnow to Cincy. That's another team that's come up. So let's do that. Here we go. Let's do the Reds. I think Glasnow would be really nice for the Reds. Be a good pickup for them. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, Glasnow is not that expensive. He's not going to cost you a whole lot. All right. So taking a look. Glasnow, right around $13 million. The Reds can definitely afford this. And the Rays, hey, there's definitely some prospects that you can choose from here. I mean, I've talked a little bit about some of these guys. Could you maybe, Jonathan India now, he is probably not getting traded. They came out and said that he's going to be staying. So, I don't know. I mean, they definitely got some pieces here that you can definitely make a deal. Do they match up as well as the Cubs, though? I don't know. Could you maybe just do Chase Petty, right? Remember they swapped him for Sonny Gray? Could you just send him back for Tyler Glasnow? Chase Petty, could you imagine what the Rays could do with him with all that velocity he's got? I don't know. Could maybe do? I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at some of these pieces and what would be a good fit. I don't know. I just feel like some of these guys, like Brandon Williamson, Could they just do straight up Williamson for Glasnow? I don't know. That doesn't sound very good to me. So I don't know. Maybe the Reds, the problem is when you start to get to these tiers or this tier of players, you're looking at some really young players here. I don't know. I don't like when it comes to the Reds have prospects, but I just wonder if it's a good match, right? For a Glasnow deal. I feel like the Cubs match up a little bit better because I'm looking at the values and it's kind of harder to piece this puzzle together. Unless maybe the Rays, they do like someone like a Reese Hins. I don't know, Jay Allen the second. Maybe you could do, I don't know, they just drafted Ty Floyd. Would you get rid of him? I don't know. So maybe you can get something together. You got a couple athletic guys here. The Rays tend to like the athletic type of players, but major league ready guys. Ethan Stein, I see you. You're saying try India. India, yeah, his matchup would be pretty good. What did Jeff Passan just say? This take was as bad as your beard. What did Passan just say? Did Passan just roast the crap out of someone? What just happened? No. Oh my God. Passan just wrecked Jolly Olive. Oh, yeah. Passan actually, he admitted that his take. Okay, let's go to this. So Passan back in 2013, I would take Chase Headley over David Wright. Better fielder, bat comparable. Would take Longoria over Wright too. So Jolly retweeted it saying, what? And then Jeff Passan said, this take was as bad as your beard. Oh. Oof. Everyone, please say a prayer for Jolly Olive tonight. He's going to need it after that one. He's going to need it. As a man that knows a thing or two about beards, oof, that really hits you in the loins. That's a tough one. That's tough. That's very tough. Jeff Passan with the kill shot. My goodness. Goodness gracious. Anyway, everyone, I think I'm going to start wrapping this up here. Just going to double check just in case anything else happened. Just in case. Don't want to get out of here too soon. Oh. Everyone's starting now to react to the Jolly Olive roasting. Yeah, Drew, I agree with you. I agree. I do like the accountability from Jeff Passan. I agree. But goodness gracious, he went down and he took Jolly Olive with him. Goodness. Everyone, I'm going to start wrapping this up here. If you can, on the way out, hit that like button for me. I'm pretty sure we just annihilated our goal tonight. What did we end up getting to with it when it came to the likes? We got to 600 likes. Didn't expect this big of a show tonight. But thanks to Mr. Alex Verdugo, we got it tonight. Not bad. Everyone, hit the bell. Just in case we do have any other breaking news, that way you know I'm going live to react to it. Share the show, share anything on the channel as well. And again, if anyone is new, think about subscribing down below. We're talking baseball here pretty much every day. So think about subscribing. Everyone, don't forget about Underdog Fantasy, our friends over there, giving us a great deal. You get a double on your first deposit up to $100. The link is in the description down below. Use the promo code HYDE. Everyone, I'm out of here. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Greatly appreciate it. A huge turnout for tonight. But it looks like the winter meetings are starting to move along here, right? It looks like maybe we're getting some movement. That's good. That's a good thing, right? I know yesterday was pretty quiet, but that was day one, right? So we got something here today. But tomorrow, I think we could see a busy day tomorrow. be ready. Be very ready for tomorrow because it felt like a lot of wheels were moving today, right? So I think there's a very good chance we could see a splash tomorrow. I don't know. Could that trade lead to a Juan Soto trade? Could Ohtani perhaps announce something tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. I'm going to double check before I do get out of here, just in case if I missed any super chats. I don't want to miss any super chats. Let me go back. We had a couple from Joe in the beginning. Zach G, thank you for that as well. You guys talked about Verdugo. All right, yeah, looks like we got everything. Jeff Graw, thank you for becoming a member for the 25th month. Jeff Graw, I love you. But, and hey, actually, we had a little prediction here earlier. Mets fan, $1.99, you said, I see another trade tonight. Hey, Marco Gonzales. You were right. You were right. Everyone, have yourself a great night. And, again, I will go live if anything else does happen. Have a great night, everyone. I'll talk to you next time.